That device in your hand, it promises a world of freedom, right? But what if it's also kind of quietly building invisible walls all around you? Today, we're going to dive into that hidden tension between the tech we love and our own autonomy. It's a conflict that's shaping our world in ways we don't even realize. So let me just start by asking you a really direct question. When you're scrolling through your feed, or maybe you're applying for a loan, or even just deciding what to binge watch tonight, are those choices really your own? Because the sources we're looking at today suggest that the answer is, well, it's a lot more complicated than you might think.
And here's the central paradox, right? Technology. It promises to set us free. It gives us more options, more convenience than ever in history. But, and this is a big but, at the very same time, all those algorithms, the AI, the constant data collection, they're creating these invisible structures that are guiding our behavior, a lot of the time without us even knowing it. And that's what's limiting our autonomy.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's happening right now, for real. I mean, just think about filter bubbles on social media. The algorithm decides what news you get to see, basically shielding you from different points of view. Or what about AI making these massive decisions about our credit scores or if we get a job interview? These systems aren't just predicting what we'll do, they're actively shaping it by just reinforcing the patterns they've already learned. Now, you might think this whole freedom versus control thing is, unique to our digital age. But it's actually an ancient battle. It's rooted in two totally different ideas about what knowledge is even for. Is it a tool to set people free? Or is it a mechanism for a small group to stay in control? Okay, so here we can see those two big ideas right next to each other. On one side, you've got the liberal arts, which sees knowledge as liberation. And on the other, you have the royal arts, which treats knowledge as a tool for control, something meant to empower an elite few. So let's talk about the liberal arts. The name itself comes from the Latin word for free, and the goal is super clear: to create independent thinkers. The whole idea was to give regular people the tools, things like grammar, logic, rhetoric, so they could think critically for themselves and, really importantly, so they could resist being manipulated by powerful people. But then, on the complete flip side, you've got the royal arts, and their purpose? Totally different. This tradition is rooted in more esoteric, kind of secret stuff. It uses hidden knowledge, complex symbols, and rituals, not to free people, but to influence society and keep the existing power structures in place. Here, knowledge is a weapon, a tool for power that's guarded very, very closely. So this ancient conflict, it's not just history. It's actually given us two competing visions for our future. And these ideas, they're playing out right now, in real time, in the big debates we're having about technology. They're shaping two completely different paths for where humanity could go next. And yep, these two paths have names. On one side, you have Prometheism. This is that relentless drive for technological progress, the idea that we can overcome all of our human limits. It aligns perfectly with the whole control idea of the royal arts. And on the other side, Soft-Frosenism. This is a call for wisdom, for ethical restraint, and it really echoes the values of the liberal arts. Okay, so let's break down Prometheism. This is really the philosophy that's driving a lot of what happens in Silicon Valley, and it's the engine behind the transhumanist movement. It's this core belief that we can, and that we should, use technology to conquer everything: nature, aging, maybe even death itself. It's all about achieving total mastery with the tools we build. Soft-Frosenism, though, offers a really powerful alternative. It says, hold on a second. It argues that real progress isn't just about getting more and more power. It's about balance, self-control, and wisdom. It pushes us to ask not just, hey, can we build this? But the much more important question, should we build this? It puts ethics right at the heart of innovation. And this brings us to a really interesting paradox, what the source calls the law of apparent undesirability of the liberal arts. Here's the gist. The more our world is designed for control, as the royal arts get stronger, the more absolutely essential those liberal arts values become. Things like freedom, ethics, creativity. They become critical for our survival exactly at the moment when they seem to be desired the least. It's a crazy catch-22. But listen, this whole battle of ideas, it's not just happening in lines of code or in academic papers. It's being fought in the physical world all around us. You can literally see these competing values built into the concrete, the steel, and the glass of our cities. Architecture is a perfect example of this. Some buildings totally embody the royal arts, right? Think of those huge, imposing structures designed just to scream power. But then, other buildings can reflect the liberal arts. They prioritize things like beauty, human well-being, and community, not just raw function.
Yeah, think about those massive corporate skyscrapers or those stark concrete government buildings. You know the ones. Their insane scale, all the sharp angles, the imposing fronts. They're all designed to do one thing: make you, the individual, feel small and powerless. They're just physical symbols of corporate or state power, and they're often completely disconnected from nature or any sense of human comfort. Now, contrast that with architecture that's built for humans. I'm talking about spaces that are filled with natural light, that have green spaces woven right into them. Buildings that use warm, inviting materials and are scaled in a way that actually encourages people to interact. These are places designed not to intimidate you, but to inspire you and connect you with others.
So, what happens when our cities prioritize function and control over beauty and community? Well, when the royal arts totally take over, the result is what you could call urban alienation. We end up with these cold, hyper-efficient spaces that just leave us feeling isolated and totally disconnected, both from our environment and from each other.
So the big question is, how do we fix this? How do we find our way back to some kind of balance in a world that's more and more being shaped by this logic of pure control and efficiency?
Really, the central argument boils down to this. The more powerful our Promethean tech gets, the more desperately we need the wisdom of sovereignism. The more advanced our tools for control become, the stronger our commitment to human values, to freedom, ethics, and beauty has to be. And look, this isn't just some philosophical wish. There are real, concrete steps we can take. First, we have to start embedding our values, like freedom and justice, right into the design of our technology from the very beginning. Second, we have to demand transparency. We need to know how these algorithms are working, and we need to have control over our own data. And maybe, most important of all, we have to make a conscious choice to value things like ethics and beauty just as much as we value speed and efficiency.
So ultimately, it really just comes down to a choice. Every one of us is an architect of the future we're building. The only question left is, which blueprint are we going to choose? The one based on control and pure efficiency, or the one that builds a world where free human beings can actually flourish?